I'm 81 years old now. At this age, you don't expect life to surprise you anymore. You think you've seen everything, felt everything, lost everything there is to lose. But I was wrong, because a few weeks ago, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in over 40 years, my son's voice. And what he said to me is something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Let me take you back to a time when I was not an old man sitting alone in a quiet room, but a young, stubborn man who thought he understood life. I was 41 years old when everything fell apart. My son, Daniel, was just a little boy then. He had these bright eyes, always full of questions. He used to follow me everywhere. "Dad, where are you going? Dad, can I come with you? Dad, watch me." And I remember, there were days I was too busy to look, too tired to listen, too distracted to care. Back then, I thought I had time. I thought I'd make it up to him later. But life doesn't wait for later. My marriage was already breaking long before it ended. Arguments turned into silence. Silence turned into distance. And distance turned into goodbye. The day my wife left, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stood at the door with Daniel beside her, holding her hand. And she said something I didn't fully understand at the time. She said, "You may not realize it now, but you're not just losing me." Then she walked away. And my son, he looked back, just once. That look, I've seen it in my dreams for 40 years. Confused, hurt, quiet, like he was waiting for me to say something, to stop them, to choose him. But I didn't. I stood there, frozen, and that moment became the biggest regret of my life. At first, I told myself it was temporary. They'll come back. I'll call tomorrow. I'll fix this. But tomorrow turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And months turned into years. I tried reaching out in the beginning. A few calls, a letter or two, but every attempt felt harder than the last. There was no answer, no reply, just silence. And slowly, I stopped trying. Not because I didn't care, but because I was ashamed. Ashamed of the man I had been. Ashamed that I had let my own pride destroy the only thing that truly mattered. Years passed. Life moved on, or at least it pretended to. I worked, I aged, I watched the world change around me. But inside, something stayed stuck. Every birthday, I wondered where he was. Every time I saw a father and son together, I looked away. I never remarried, not because I didn't have the chance, but because some part of me felt unfinished, like I didn't deserve to start over. And then came the quiet years. You know, the years where your phone doesn't ring much anymore, where days blend into each other, where memories get louder than the present. I would sit by the window sometimes, thinking about him, wondering what kind of man he became. Did he hate me? Did he forget me? Did he ever miss me? Those questions, they don't leave you. They grow with you. They sit beside you in the silence. Then one morning, everything changed. I received a letter. Not a bill, not an advertisement. A real letter, handwritten. My name was on it, in a handwriting I didn't recognize. My hands, they trembled as I opened it. And inside, there were only a few words. "Dad, I think it's time we talk." No explanation, no anger, no details, just that. And at the bottom, A name I hadn't seen in 40 years. Daniel. I must have read that letter 100 times, each time hoping it was real, each time feeling something I hadn't felt in decades. Hope. But hope, at my age, comes with fear. What if he only wanted closure? What if he came just to tell me how much I hurt him? What if this was my last chance, and I ruined it again? We agreed to meet a week later, a small cafe, nothing special. I arrived early, much earlier than I needed to. I sat there, watching the door. Every time it opened, my heart would race, and then he walked in. I knew it was him instantly, not because I remembered his face, but because something inside me recognized him. He looked older, of course. Life had left its marks on him, but his eyes, they were the same. For a moment, we just stood there, two strangers connected by a lifetime. I didn't know what to say. After 40 years, where do you even begin? So I said the only thing I could. Daniel? He nodded, and then he sat down. The silence between us, it wasn't empty. It was full. Full of years, full of words that were never said, full of pain and questions and memories. I wanted to apologize, to explain, to say everything I had rehearsed in my head for decades. But the words, they didn't come. Then finally, he spoke. And what he said, it broke me. He looked at me, calmly, not angry, not emotional, just steady. And he said, "I spent most of my life trying to understand why you didn't come after me." That sentence, it hit harder than anything I had imagined. Not accusations, not insults, just a simple truth. And I had no answer, no excuse, nothing that could undo the silence of 40 years. I tried to speak. I wanted to, but he raised his hand gently, not to stop me out of anger, but like he had already heard every possible explanation in his mind, and none of them mattered. Then he said something else, something I will never forget. He said, "You know, when I was a kid, I used to wait for you." I felt my chest tighten. He continued, "Every birthday, every holiday, I thought maybe this would be the year you show up." I couldn't look at him anymore. My eyes filled with tears I couldn't hold back. But after a while, he said, I stopped waiting. That was the moment I realized I hadn't just lost years. I had lost moments. Moments that never come back. Moments that define a relationship. Moments that build a bond. I whispered, "I'm sorry." 2 simple words, 40 years too late. He looked at me for a long time, and then something changed. His voice softened, and he said, "I didn't come here for an apology." That surprised me. Then he leaned forward slightly and said, "I came here to tell you something." My heart started pounding again. I didn't know what was coming next, but I knew it mattered. And then he said it, the words that stayed with me, the words that changed everything. He said, "I forgave you a long time ago." I froze. I didn't understand. After everything, after all those years of silence, how? Tears rolled down my face, not quiet tears, not controlled tears, the kind that come from deep inside, when something breaks and heals at the same time. I carried anger for a long time, he continued, but it was heavy, too heavy. So I let it go. I couldn't speak. I didn't deserve that kind of grace. But there it was, given freely, after 40 years. We sat there for a long time after that, talking, not about the past, at first, but about life, his life. He had a family, children, a daughter, about the same age he was when he left. And as he spoke, I realized something painful. He had built a whole life without me. But at the same time, something beautiful was happening. We were building something new, slowly, carefully, like two people learning how to be father and son for the first time. Before we left, I asked him something, a question that had lived inside me for decades. "Did you ever hate me?" He thought for a moment. Then he said, "No." That answer, it gave me peace I didn't know I needed. As we stood up to leave, there was still one thing left unspoken, something I didn't expect, something I didn't think I deserved. He hesitated, just for a second. Then he said, "Can I call you Dad?" That word, after 40 years. It didn't feel real. I nodded. I couldn't trust my voice. And in that moment, for the first time in decades, I didn't feel like a man who had lost everything. I felt like a father again. Now at 81, I understand something I wish I had known earlier. Life doesn't give you unlimited chances. People don't wait forever. Time doesn't come back. But sometimes, if you're lucky, life gives you one more moment, one more chance. Not to fix everything, but to begin again. If you're listening to this, and there's someone in your life, someone you haven't called, someone you've been avoiding, someone you think you'll reach out to someday, don't wait, because someday turns into silence, and silence can last a lifetime. I'm 81, and I met my son after 40 years, and what he said to me saved what was left of my heart.